Good morning, everybody. So let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. So today we're starting out our new unit. This is Unit 1, which is all about tools of geometry. The first lesson 1, we're going to be going over here today, and that is all about points, lines, and planes. So we're going to start by defining some terms here. So the very first term that we need to define here is a point. Now, a point, I'm going to underline this with a special color, is just a fixed place in space. It's a fixed location in space. Points have no width and no thickness and no height. They just exist as a specific place. So different from a line, they don't go on in any direction. They just exist in one spot. Now in geometry, when we label points, we'll have a point, and then it's always labeled with a letter, so like A. We don't use numbers for points, or at least we shouldn't be using numbers for points, because that can often get confused with the measure of a line segment or a coordinate for the point. So in general, points are labeled by just a letter. So next we have a line. So the actual geometric definition of a line is the set of all points. So lines are made up of points. The set of all points connecting at least two other points, and then going on forever. So at least two other points, and then going on for forever in both directions. Continuing forever in both directions. Alright, so there's a few different ways that lines can be labeled. I'm going to show you a few of them here. So you always need to have at least 2 points to make a line. So on this line here, I'm going to label 2 points. So I already used A. I'm going to label this B, and I'm going to label this over here C. And just for funsies, I'll put a third point on it. I'll put a point in D. Now, lines can be labeled a few different ways. You need to have at least 2 points to make a line. So if you're labeling them by their points, you need at least 2 of them. So for example, this could be line BC, or it could be line CD, or it could be line BD. All of those would be appropriate. However, sometimes lines will have an external label, usually written as like a scripty looking letter. So if I have a J here off by the side, you could also call this line J. Now, sometimes lines will be labeled with numbers, but again, I'm going to try my hardest to keep it as letters. But some books will sneak numbers in there, so just be aware of that. Alright, so that's a line. Next we have a plane. And a plane is a flat surface that contains at least 3 points. Think of it like the top of a desk. So a plane is a flat surface containing at least 3 points. And those 3 points have to be not all on the same line. 2 of them obviously will be on the same line, but they have to have at least one that isn't on a line with the other 2. Not all on the same line. So an example of how planes are drawn, and this can be kind of weird to wrap your mind around. You want to think of it, if you've done an art class, it's kind of foreshortened. So we've got this kind of parallelogram looking thing, and this is supposed to represent like the surface of a desk. As you're looking at it, it's a flat surface. Planes will be written with an uppercase script letter, so like R, something like that, would refer to this whole flat surface. And we need to have 3 points that are non-collinear, so not on the same line. So I'm going to make 2 points collinear here. Try my best. And then I'm going to put a third point not on the same line. So I left off with E, or D, so I'm going to call this E, F, and G. Now the way that this can get referred to is you can call this plane R. You can also refer to it by 3 points that are non-collinear. I don't know why I all of a sudden thought it was Rolane instead of plane. We can also call this plane EFG. Okay. There's a few more terms I want to go over, but there's 2 kind of subterms here for both line and plane I want to cover first. So the term coplanar, it looks like coplanar. The term coplanar means on the same plane. So on the same flat surface. On the same plane. So in this example, G, E, and F are 3 coplanar points. If I were to draw another point, kind of on a line here, I'm going to draw a line that intersects our plane. So imagine that this is coming up out of the desk. I'll call that H, and because I need 2 points, I'll call this I. So line HI is not coplanar with line EH or line EF, okay? Meaning they're not on the same plane. The term collinear kind of goes with lines. And I'm probably misspelling it. I can never remember if there's 2 L's in collinear or not. Collinear means on the same line. On the same line. And so if I had a third point here, so I have BCD, I already went through I, we'll call this K. So I'm not confusing it with the J that I used for the line. If I have this point K here, K is not collinear with BC or D, but BC and D are collinear with each other. So I'm gonna let's use a different color. Let's go fun. We'll call these something different because they're kind of sub-definitions. They're part of line and plane is collinear and coplanar. Okay, so the last definition I really need to go over with you guys here is for something called array. And array is exactly half a line, which is a weird definition, but I'll give you a different one to start and I'll explain why half a line works. Array is a figure that has a start point, which is actually called the end point, that has a starting point, then continues forever, in one direction. So how that would look here, we'll have a point, and then the sounds actually help, believe it or not. I'll call this, see, I left off with K, so this is L. So this would be ray L. And we don't need a second point for this, we just need to know the direction it goes. Rays are kind of weird. Now when I say it's half a line, the reason I call it half a line is I could create a line, and let's make another point here. We'll call this M. And I could have ray L, which is the ray that starts at this point and goes on forever to the right. I could also have ray M, which starts at this point and goes forever in the other direction. But together, they're both half a line, and together they make line LM, if that makes any sense. All right, so today's assignment is different. It's kind of a different format than we've had before, so give it a try. If you have trouble with it, let me know. Come in with questions on Thursday, and if you're a distance learner and you have trouble, please let me know by email or something like that. Okay, I hope you guys all have yourselves a great day.